A long absent AEW star looks set for a return to television. A former WWE star was backstage at AEW Dynamite last week. There's an update on Drew Gulak's WWE status, and Shawn Michaels teases very exciting announcements for the relationship between NXT and TNA. Hello, and welcome to the Soul Selling News here at What Culture Wrestling. Myself, Andrew Pollard. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a great weekend, or making the best of whatever you are doing this weekend. And let's get into our first story here. It comes from Fightful Select, and it's in regards to Hikaru Shida. Yes, Fightful notes that creative discussions have taken place for Hikaru Shida to return to AEW TV, which is great news because Shida is really good. Unfortunately, she's only wrestled for AEW twice this year. I mean, we're in June now, so 5 months have gone. We're into the 6th month of 2024. And Hikaru Shida has only wrestled twice on television for AEW, and the last of those was all the way back in January, the 10th of January to be precise, on AEW Rampage against Queen Aminata. Now, Aminata's really promising as well, a lot of talent there. But yeah, things aren't great when you're wrestling on Rampage because, quite frankly, nobody really watches Rampage. It is a TV show you can easily skip, and there's no consequences to that, which isn't necessarily a dig, but it's kind of a dig, I guess, but it's not meant to be a dig. It's just the point being, if you wrestle on Rampage, not many people are going to be watching that. And unfortunately for Shida, her 2 matches for AEW in 2024 were both on Rampage. It's one of those problems that seems to be commonplace for AEW, unfortunately, though, where a talent who's really, really good, like Hikaru Shida is, I would say easily one of the best they've got in their women's division. You could say that Hikaru Shida is in the conversation for one of the best talents in the entire promotion. That's how much of a fan I am of Shida and her work. I just think she's really, really good, man. But yeah, it's unfortunately commonplace in AEW where there's a lot of talented people who don't wrestle that much. They're away from TV for months on end. Like I said, Shida last wrestled on the 10th of January, so that is nearly 5 months ago, which is just weird because there's been no stories or reports of any particular injury issues either for Shida. So who knows with that? Now, she has wrestled twice for Ring of Honor, but again, man, if I'm saying that Rampage doesn't get watched by many people, Ring of Honor unfortunately gets watched by even less people. And the last match she had for Ring of Honor was against Athena and was really, really good, but again, not many people watch ROH, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that Hikaru Shida will be back on AEW screens sooner rather than later, because, quite frankly, that lady is far too talented to be sat on the sidelines twiddling her thumbs and doing nothing. Right, sticking with AEW, kind of. One person who was backstage at AEW this past week for Dynamite was Mansoor. Yes, Mansoor, this comes again from Fightful Select, who always do such great jobs over there in their reporting. Fightful noting that Mansoor's backstage in Los Angeles, I believe it was, where Dynamite took place this past week. There's no details on whether he was there merely visiting friends or whether he was there, to discuss a little bit of business. Or maybe it's both, because you can do both. You can go and visit your pals and maybe you talk a bit of business as well. Mansoor, of course, was one of those released by WWE in September 2023 with Massey, or Mason Madden, as he is these days going by. They're a really fun presence to keep an eye on, the former Maximum male models. If you keep an eye on them online, they just seem to be two really good dudes who have a lot of fun. I see when they went to Soft Ground Wrestling in Uganda, shout out to those guys and girls, earlier this year. Not just was that like a video that caught a lot of online buzz because it's just really fun to see, but they also raised some money for Soft Ground as well. So they just seem like two really good dudes. But yes, this report notes that it was Mansoor backstage at Dynamite. There's no mention of Mason Madden. Now the two have competed fairly regularly on the independent scene since departing WWE, both as singles acts and also as tag teams, most recently for Deadlock Pro last month in a losing effort against the Motor City Machine Guns, who are, of course, a team, one of the great tag teams of modern wrestling, but also a team that are hotly tipped to be signing with AEW if they haven't signed already, because the Machine Guns, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley are free agents as well, having part of TNA earlier this year. Two incredibly talented guys, man. But yes, Mansoor, who knows what can come of this? Maybe it's something, maybe it's absolutely nothing, and maybe today is a very slow Sunday news day. So yes, but switching gears a little bit to Drew Gulak, who is also now a free agent. Again, this was one reported first by Fightful, but then it's since been announced by Beyond Wrestling that Gulak is actually be working their American Rana show on the 4th of July. So he is now done with WWE. This is not a surprise. It's just a case of, he's a free agent now. We knew he was going to be a free agent. We just didn't know particularly when it was going to be. This goes back to reports earlier in the year that the Gulak had been fired, which itself came on the back of allegations from Ronda Rousey that he'd inappropriately touched the drawstring on her pants, which Gulak admitted to, but said that it was an accident because he'd gone for a handshake and somehow that had gone wrong. He touched her drawstring. I don't know. All sounds just odd, man. But yes, anyway, the point being, there was reports he was fired because of that or after that. Paul Levesque, though, Triple H shot down those rumors and those reports at the Backlash or post-Backlash media scrum, where he said that, no, he's not been fired, he's still with the company, but we're not going to be renewing his contract, and we've let him know that. And now his contract has expired. So Drew Gulak is a free agent. Brings to an end, 8 years? 2016, because he first was part of WWE as part of the Cruiserweight Classic, then became part of the Cruiserweight division when that was briefly a thing, had roles on the main roster. There was that time during the pandemic where he was getting spotlighted quite a bit on SmackDown with Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, and AJ Styles. Then went back to NXT the end of, I guess it was November, December 2022, and would eventually form what would become known as the No Quarter Catch Crew, which is still a faction that still exists, and Charlie Dempsey's kind of taking the lead in that. Rumors that maybe William Regal might be joining the No Quarter Catch. That's easy for me to say on a Sunday when I'm fully caffeinated. The No Quarter Catch Crew, which Regal makes a whole lot of sense. But yes, in terms of Drew Gulak and WWE lore, kayfabe, brother, it was implied, should we say, because I don't want to get in trouble with the family. Hey, it was implied that Drew Gulak was whacked by Tony D and the D'Angelo family. So yeah, that was quite the way to write somebody off television. Now this last story I'm going to wrap up before I get to your questions is one that puts a smile on my face, because I always like to talk about TNA whenever I get the chance, man. TNA wrestling for so long, beaten with a stick, because yes, there was over the years there's been so many TNA lol where they've shot themselves in the foot. But these days, the last couple of years, man, TNA wrestling, or Impact Wrestling as it was up until the turn of the year, it's been a very fun promotion to keep an eye on. And if you've been keeping an eye on NXT this past week, you'll have seen that TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace resurfaced. Of course, Jordynne Grace was Thick Mama Pump was in the Royal Rumble this year, that put a big smile on my face, man. And it was nice to get such a great reaction, put in such a great performance, because again, very talented Jordynne Grace. And Jordynne Grace rocked up on NXT this week, is going to be challenging Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship at Battleground next weekend. And Shawn Michaels has been addressing the relationship between TNA and NXT. This was an interview he did with Johnny Resendez for the KTNV Channel 13 from Las Vegas, where promoting Battleground, Shawn said that there's going to be some very exciting announcements coming down the pipe where it pertains to the relationship between NXT and TNA. I will say this, again, it comes back to wanting to entertain the people that do this, and you just said it, for fans. We have wanted A, B, and C for so long. So it seems like, this comes, of course, hot on the heels of rumors and rumblings and reports that, yes, there is going to be more to come from this NXT-TNA relationship, that there's going to be a kind of a loose work relationship with the companies, that there could be NXT talent who do turn up on TNA television at some point down the line. I believe their next, I'm trying to think of the date of it, but they've got some TV tapings coming up in June. I think it's maybe the weekend after Battleground, I think, is the Sunday where they're doing the tapings. But yeah, it's a really fun one to keep an eye on with this for me, because like I said, there's so much talent in NXT, but also in TNA. There's so many people there who, if you're looking for people to interact with your NXT roster, whether that's in NXT, whether that's over in TNA, whether that's some big, huge crossover door, dare I say it, forbidden door, what a term. I hate that phrase, man, because it's not for... I'm going to stop before I go on a rant about the Forbidden Door phrase, because, anyway, as well as Jordynne Grace, this week's NXT, we saw the NXT debut of Ethan Page, All Ego. Big fan of that guy. Now, obviously, he hasn't come directly from TNA because he came from AEW and Ring of Honor, I guess. But that's someone as well who has a whole lot of history there with TNA. One of the great tag teams of the modern era, the North, with Josh Alexander. So who knows what's next for this relationship? There's something I'm really, really intrigued by, something that's got me quite excited. And I'm very much going to be keeping an eye on this. Now, you just look at some of the people on the TNA side, and it might not be names that everybody is familiar with, and that's cool for TNA, because they get to spotlight some talent who, if people only watch the WWE product, they might not be familiar with. I mean, Josh Alexander, I talked about the North there, what a tag team, Josh Alexander, Ethan Page. But Josh Alexander is a singles wrestler. To me, is one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet, as is Speedball Mike Bailey, who just continues to just the stuff Speedball does is absolutely nuts, man. But you've got Moose, you've got Nick Nemeth there now, you've got Masha Slamovich, of course, who kind of worked with WWE because she went up against Shayna Baszler for Bloodsport at WrestleMania weekend. So there's that kind of existing relationship there, because Masha is somebody that just, the sky is the limit. You've got Big Hammerstone, Alexander Hammerstone, Mike Santana, who just, if I would say go out of your way and check out Mike Santana's work these days. The dude has just been absolutely killing it. House of Glory last weekend, he did back-to-back shows, and it was the first match was against Matt Riddle that would be the Friday. The Saturday was against JT Dunn. Then he went off and did some shows for Progress, which I haven't seen those, but I've seen the House of Glory stuff, and it's Santana's just absolutely killing it, man. This is the House of Glory World Champion, and he is in TNA Wrestling as a singles act. Again, sky is the limit there with Santana. But you got Mustafa Ali. That's another guy who's absolutely killing it in TNA and beyond, and also for House of Glory. Leon Slater, Steve Macklin, Rosemary would be a really fun fit in NXT. Obviously, you've got Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, the Rascals with Wes Lee, Myron Reed you can throw in there. But yeah, there's a lot to keep an eye on. So I'm going to wrap things up though quickly. I say quickly. This is never quick. You know that. You know the drill. But I'm going to wrap things up with questions. And the first question coming in actually revolves around TNA a little bit. It's from Ashley Short 13. Thanks, Ash. Can you see AJ Styles having a small run in TNA, maybe even capture gold and defending it on WWE television? The title versus title with Cody would be cool. Hope the fireworks didn't keep you up too much last night. Yeah, man, some absolute ball back in my area. It was like firing off fireworks for like pretty much an hour at like 11 o'clock at night, man. And it's like, come on, I got like a 4:30 alarm, brother. And also the cat is absolutely bricking herself. Let's have some. Anyway, so thankfully I did manage to get some sleep. The question, that's always a good start. TNA, AJ Styles, that is something you could do. You could have AJ Styles have a run in TNA. I mean, when people think of like wrestlers synonymous with TNA, to be fair, AJ Styles has outgrown that. He is synonymous with TNA, but TNA necessarily these days isn't synonymous with him because of his work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but also more importantly, his work with WWE now. But when you think of TNA, you do think of AJ Styles. You think of Samoa Joe. You think of Christopher Daniels. You think of Sting. You think of Jeff Jarrett, Double J, all about the slap nuts, brother, on a Sunday morning. But yeah, you think of these sort of guys. You think about Mickey James. You think about Gail Kim. You think about Awesome Kong. There's a list I could just reel off. Beer Money, America's Most Wanted, Motor City Machine Guns. But yeah, in terms of AJ Styles, having him have a run in TNA, that easily you could do that. You could very much do that. Have AJ go there for a couple of months. In terms of tying it into the story at the moment with Cody Rhodes and doing title versus title, I don't think you necessarily need to do that. And to be honest, like I said, I absolutely love TNA. I think it's great, and it's great to see that promotion doing so well these days. I did see in the week that Slammiversary 2024, as in the space of 48 hours, became the highest selling TNA show pay-per-view for 10 years. So stuff like that you love to see. You love to see companies thriving, whether it's TNA, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, New Japan, the NWA. Please make it good again, Billy. It's not going to happen, is it? But yeah, I've gone all around the houses to say that unfortunately, as much as I love TNA, I don't think TNA has enough name value to put it into a Cody versus AJ Styles title versus title feud. I think with NXT, it would work really well in terms of you could have, I'd say you could have the TNA champion, which is Moose, come into NXT for to do a back and forth. But we have had the TNA Knockouts champion, Jordan Grace, who is now there just doing a little bit of a run with Roxanne Perez. So you could have the TNA championship, involved in NXT, but I think involving it on the main roster in the biggest program it's not the biggest program on SmackDown, is it? Because there's the Bloodline, but the world title program on SmackDown with Cody, I don't think there's quite the name recognition there as such with TNA, but you can make it work. You can always make these things work if you have good creative. And you educate your audience in a way that to make TNA feel like a big deal, and also AJ Styles' history with the company. Right, Thomas Leone has got in touch. Hey, Thomas, would you like a TNA invasion angle with AJ leading it? Now that could be fun again, but for me, I think it would be something you'd have to do in NXT rather on Raw or SmackDown. But I think AJ Styles leading a TNA invasion in NXT would be a lot of fun. I mean, AJ has had he's worked the odd few weeks here and there, the odd few matches here and there in NXT. He had his little run with Grayson Waller, of course. You've got the Good Brothers already at the moment. The OC, Gallows and Anderson in NXT. Mia Yim Meechin is someone who is in NXT at the moment as well, working there. I mean, she is on SmackDown. There's the little thing she did with Nia Jax on Friday. But yeah, you've already got like 3 members of the OC in NXT working for NXT. So Styles there with a TNA invasion. I would very much like to see that, but it's not going to happen right now because something like that is not going to be involved with the Cody Rhodes feud. But yeah, thanks for the question there. Right, Jim Taylor's got in touch. Is this Nightbird campaign dragging on too long? It's incredibly fun to get involved with, but I'm thinking the payoff is going to be an inevitable disappointment if it doesn't get wrapped up soon. Um, has it gone on for too long? Maybe it does feel, and it's felt for like a little while that we're at the point where like, yeah, we come on, can we get something now? The teases are amping up. Obviously, WWE nowadays for the past few weeks have been acknowledging those teases on TV, because the first few weeks it was just like, nah, we're not selling this at all, brother. Nope. But now they are acknowledging things. I think it gets wrapped up very soon, because what was it, June? There was a June date being floated around. The night, basically the Raw after Clash of the Castle, whatever that is, whatever date that is. I have no idea. It's Sunday morning and I need more coffee, and I've already had loads of coffee. So hey, so yeah, I think it'll happen soon. And also, I mean, there's not quite the excitement, because, to be blunt, it's not quite as captivating or exciting as the White Rabbit campaign we saw with Bray Wyatt, where it got to a point where you knew what was coming, and people were looking forward to seeing what this next incarnation of Bray Wyatt was going to be, who was going to be with him, what was going to happen. Whereas now, not so much. There's just because Bray Wyatt's a bigger star than the people rumored to be involved with this, unfortunately, and there's always going to be people who compare this to that, unfortunately. So the hype isn't quite what it was for the White Rabbit. But yeah, I do think we're going to get a wrap up soon on this. So yeah, we'll have to see how things develop. Sticking with that topic, David Newport has got in touch. So far, I've seen 5 names confirmed for the Wyatt 6. Bo Dallas, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Nikki Cross, and Eric Rowan. Who do you think will be the 6? Perhaps the 6 is already on the roster. Braun Strowman, maybe. It's interesting we say confirmed, because nothing's confirmed until we see those people on TV. So I've seen the reports. We've covered it ourselves, where those names are the ones. Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, and then Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Nikki Cross, and Eric Rowan, who's reportedly re-signed with the company. Those are the names that have been reported on. But yeah, confirmed is I don't know. I'd be careful using confirmed, because like I said, until those people turn up on TV, until Uncle Howdy turns up on TV, until it's revealed who is with him, because that might not be straight away, then nothing is confirmed until it's confirmed, should we say. As for the 6, because it's one of those where it obviously Bray Wyatt, the plan was it was going to be the Wyatt 6, where he was part of it. Does it now become a Wyatt 5? Because obviously, sadly, unfortunately, Bray Wyatt is no longer with us, which is still, man. So maybe it's just a 5. But if it is a 6, the one there, that Braun Strowman is a name that can work. Plenty of history, of course, to play on. But for me, I think if there is a 6, I think it's Alexa Bliss. Some people think that we maybe have already seen Alexa Bliss on TV. Some people are saying it's Alexa Bliss in the video, the one who points to the room. That could be Nikki Cross. It could be Alexa Bliss. I don't know. But yeah, I think if there is another person involved, if there is 6, then who better than Alexa Bliss? It will be a bit strange for whenever Alexa Bliss does come back to TV, if the Wyatt group, the Uncle Howdy group, is there and there's no connection or no interaction, at least. But that doesn't necessarily have to be with the group. It could be against the group, but it's all ifs and buts. Right, T on the B's got in touch. Was it called the Stunner because it was done by Stunning Steve Austin? Saw this question on a reel and can't stop thinking about it. Actually, I just realized I am rocking a Hollywood Blondes t-shirt with Stunning Steve on, and Flying Brian, of course. Why was it called the Stunner? I don't actually know. Just because Stone Cold, it's a Stunner. Interestingly, when he was stunning Steve Austin, it was the stun gun was his finish at that point in time. Well, one of his finishes anyway. Then there was like an STF he was doing as well, a spell. But yeah, Stunning Steve is my favorite incarnation of Stone Cold Steve. But that's daft in itself. That's totally counteracting. Stunning Steve Austin was my favorite version of Steve Austin. Stone Cold, obviously, yes, a lot of love for Stone Cold Steve Austin. What a gimmick, what a run. The biggest draw of the hottest period in modern professional wrestling history, I guess, in terms of what metrics are used to measure success these days. Yeah, but I just it's the early WCW early 90s WCW fan in me. I just love Stunning Steve. What a heel. What a great heel. What a great bumping heel, man. Even to this day, I find myself getting way too excited by the stupid, tiny little details in his work. Stuff where people are just thinking, like, why are you getting so excited about that? Like the way Stunning Steve would hit the ropes. If you threw him into the ropes, the way he'd hit the ropes. It's such a simple thing. It's such a minute detail, but just the explosiveness and the way he would bump his ass off, man. Just Stunning Steve. What a great heel. Right, one last question. Hector Garcia the third's got in touch. When Roman returns and if he's on SmackDown, it feels like he and the Bloodline story will overshadow Cody and this title. Would you agree? If so, what feud storyline would you book for Cody to stay on par? Would it have to be The Rock? Well, So under that, Hector, and thanks for the question. I think that when Roman returns, it will involve Cody Rhodes. I think that the wider Bloodline story is going to involve Cody Rhodes. It's already involved Cody Rhodes. And even as recently as this past Friday SmackDown, it was, I can't think how Solo phrased it, but basically, yeah, he's got a plan for Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes doesn't even know about it, sort of thing. Something along those lines, anyway, to paraphrase. So I think that, yeah, when Roman returns, you will get the civil war of the Bloodline at some point, but I think it ties into the wider story with Cody and with that title and with The Rock. Yeah. So I think that's how you keep Cody in that belt as feeling like a big deal and feeling as important as the Bloodline, is because they're involved in that story of the Bloodline. And it doesn't have to be rushed. Just that you can have that lingering in the background, the Cody and the Roman stuff, the Cody and the Bloodline stuff. It doesn't have to be straight away as soon as Roman comes back. And I think if you want to keep Cody away from the Bloodline and you want to make it feel like a big deal and you want to position him in a massive spot, the one way to do that is you pull the trigger on the Randy Orton feud and rivalry, because I think that when that happens, that could be really, really good. Again, so much history there to play on. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. This has been the Soul Sunday News. Myself here, Andrew Pollard at What Culture Wrestling. There'll be another video floating around here somewhere. Give it a click. I'm sure it's excellent. But yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Make the best of it. And I will see you next weekend.